What problems do modern men face? High suicide rates, destitute loneliness. Over 30% of men don't even have one good friend. Rapidly shrinking economic competitiveness, lack of purpose or meaning, poor relationship prospects, deteriorating health. Those are probably the more male-specific ones. Being treated like second-class parents pretty much everywhere they go. I've told this story on Reddit before, but the double standard is disgusting. My wife passed away when our kids were very young. One was 2, the other about 11 months. Everywhere I went, I would get comments like, "Oh, Daddy's day with the kids, huh?" But the absolute worst was when I took them out to eat one night. We got seated and waited for a good 15 minutes. Finally, the server came over and asked, "Did you want to try to order, or should we wait for Mom?" It wasn't crowded. I realized from her use of the words, "try to order," that she had just deemed me incapable of knowing what to order for my kids. I was mad, so I said to her, "Well, we'd be waiting a long time, she's dead." This happened years ago, but it hasn't changed. There was a thread on Reddit not too long ago where some med student was talking about how she cringes whenever she sees a dad at a pediatric appointment because she just knows he's not going to know anything, and it had thousands of upvotes. I told her I hope she learns some better bedside manner before finishing med school than to cringe at anyone taking care of their kids. I feel like when a guy has a problem, he doesn't really have anyone to talk to. We have those alpha guys who try to tell you that your problems aren't real or that you just need to hit the gym frequently for them to go away. On the other hand, we have people who say men should open up more about their feelings, but I think neither men nor women have ever been taught how to handle an emotional man, so it comes across as awkward. Also, some people say that we should open up more but aren't interested in helping you. They just say it because, duh, it's so simple to solve your problem. In Western culture, men are defined by what they do and not by who they are being. So, when they retire, they often develop mental illness because they are no longer doing. This often leads to suicide. Then there's the whole nonsense of the stoic, emotionless man getting on with the work. You cannot be a victim as a man yet in today's world. You're also supposed to talk about things you feel, experience. If you do, and you're a man, you'll either be told to suck it up or be reminded that men made the patriarchy or whatever and no pity should be spared. There is a lack of emotional support because men have been taught to accept the short end of the stick as truths of life rather than something to talk about and work through. Our idea of close friends often doesn't even include people we can confide in regarding our mental health. Because you are bigger, stronger, you are always the instigator and aggressor in any conflict no matter how it happened, and you just have to take it on the chin because that's how everyone treats you. If you aren't actively doing something to make money or create something for later, then you have no value as a man. Who you are is valued very poorly just because you're a man, and it hollows you out to not be doing anything for even a moment because that's your self-worth. You will go weeks to several months at a time without physical contact with another person in any kind of platonic embrace. You probably can remember the last time you got a hug, but how recent was it? Being touch-starved adds to the loneliness, but that one hug can melt the darkness away. You have to avoid accidental eye contact with women in public spaces out of fear of causing unwanted discomfort. This adds to the isolation. You probably have not cried in several months if not a year. It was taught to you that you are not allowed to cry because you are a man, and men do not cry. Men do not show emotion. You bottle it up, but you cannot let it show either. The suicide statistic continues to rise. Almost all men receive their first flowers at their funeral. To all the people here saying mental health is a big thing, I just wanted to let you know that I am a therapist whose focus is on working with men and boys. I am part of a research group at my university that studies the psychology of men and masculinity. We publish in academic journals and do presentations, etc. There are people out here trying to get things going even though we're not there yet. Your struggles are real and important, and there are those of us that are out here trying to work with it. Loneliness and depression. Men are told to figure things out on their own at a very young age, and if men ask for help, they are viewed as being weak and unattractive. Also, when men do ask for help, they're not taken seriously and become even more isolated. Men are demonized for lashing out after bottling it in and not being able to express themselves. Men are told we need to control, ignore our anger emotions when in reality our body, mind is telling us, we need help, and we need someone to talk to. People don't realize that when women become unhappy, depressed, they cry, but when a man becomes unhappy, depressed, they become angry and lash out. People see that anger and shun men for their misbehavior, but in reality, it's just men crying out for help. There is no empathy or sympathy when a man messes up because he's a man, and should figure it out, ignore their feelings. And with cancel culture, this makes it even worse. Instead of empathizing with men who cry out for help, society just ignores them. You're still supposed to be the strong and pursuing one but also be emotional. But when you're emotional in the wrong scenario, you're a pussy, and when you're too demanding in the wrong scenario, you're pushy and don't respect boundaries. Also, you need to focus either on money or on having big muscles plus a six-pack or both. Short men also have it terrible, as well as obese men. Body positivity is only for women. If a boy does girly things, it's still considered gay and perceived as a bad thing. Girls doing boy things is emancipated. If you're the man that cares for the children, most people will look down on you. While this is also true sometimes for stay-at-home mothers, for men it's much worse and more frequent. This is a mature female perspective. Men are in a mental health crisis. Loneliness, lacking emotional connection to another person, be it with another guy or a female, is debilitating. Someone needs to spearhead a community roundtable to address how to change the culture of loneliness with men. Men of all generations are in crisis. After retirement, older men realize the only friends they had were in the workplace. Younger men moving to a new city struggle to find new male friends. Going to breweries and sucking down beer is not the answer. Maybe start a meetup group to tackle the issue. Try to enlist a panel of men who are psychologists, social workers, psychiatrists, counselors. Hey, you guys are great at organizing elaborate fantasy football groups. Take that same enthusiasm and organize an event on how to solve this issue. As a man, I have to carry a lot of weight both literally and figuratively. Literally, everyone asks me to carry couches and furniture. Some of it looks impossible for someone my size to carry, but somehow I make it happen. Nobody asks my sister to move anything because, wait for it, she's a girl. An entire gender is expected to do hard labor free of charge and free of complaint. And then everyone wonders why our backs hurt at 35 and calls us lazy when we just want to rest on the weekends. Then my sister, whom I live alone with, complains I don't do enough dishes, but she forgets I also mow the lawn, including garden care, take out the trash, the recyclables, and lift anything heavy up and down 2 stories of stairs. I do plenty of dishes, certainly more than half in exchange for dinner as the deal. I don't get dinner every day, but I certainly have to do the dishes every day. All the while she complains that I'm not doing enough, and I take it because she is in college. When you go to college, there is this sort of leniency that society gives you. Oh, she doesn't need a job, she's in college. Oh, she doesn't need to do as many chores, she's in college. As for the man who didn't go to college, or rather I dropped out because I had too much physical labor and a demanding life unlike her, I don't get any leniency, I get the opposite. Oh, he deserves to suffer and work hard because he isn't in college. That damn bum. Here's another thing. I went and applied at my sister's job several years ago, and instead of putting me in the office with her, which is what I requested, and where they needed people desperately, they took one look at my youth and the fact I was a man and threw me into the warehouse, on the night shift. That is the beauty of being a man. Our backs are used to fuel society. We carry the literal weight of society while females get desk jobs and complain about society being sexist against them, while men get put on the back burner. I have lots of really good friends. I can cry to none of them. Double standards. Women aren't a hive mind who are collectively responsible for every bad thing a woman does to a man, but apparently men are a hive mind who are collectively responsible for every bad thing a man does to a woman, or at the very least, it's okay and understandable for a woman to behave that way, and we have to just take it, I guess. Moreover, good men are presumed to have some supernatural ability to connect with and command the respect of bad men, and force them to change, as opposed to, being written off as victims of feminism or whatever, and have simply neglected to do so, presumably because we're just assholes or something. Indeed, this is the prerequisite many feminists demand of good men before they stop actively belittling us and our problems. Of course, when good women are asked about the actions of bad women, they have nothing to do with it and can't possibly be expected to do anything about it because suddenly it's obvious to them that genders are not hive minds. They'll forget as soon as the conversation moves back to men. It's not all women's business that men don't feel emotionally safe sharing with them, and they'll quickly disavow women who make it unsafe for men to share by weaponizing their weaknesses against them, at least for the purposes of that specific conversation. But it's all men's business that women don't feel safe with men, and in that way we all apparently share the guilt and responsibility for whatever bad experience she had. Literally just the homogeneity of the other applied to half of humanity. I have never done any drugs, drunk on alcohol, or smoked. I have never heard women go like, "Are you for real?" Usually, all men are like, "Dude, your life is boring as heck." I don't really respond. But, you know, it's so darn sad that the happiest thing in most men's lives is getting high. My life isn't that boring that I need to do that. I have billions of ideas I would like to bring to life and trillions of things I'd like to learn. Men lack interests. Not every single one, but a big number of men do. My big brother, for instance, just comes back from work and drinks beer every evening. This is the coolest thing in his life. This is just sad, that's all. I try to show him how cool learning stuff is. I let him play my guitar whenever he wants to. Although he still doesn't really pick up the guitar every evening, but he seems to like it. I hope he'll like learning stuff too one day because he wants to start doing something but always plans to do it tomorrow. Guess what? Tomorrow never comes. A high expectation to take on responsibilities despite decreasing incentives for it. The most frustrating thing is when people say, men need help, only for their suggested help to be telling men to figure it out themselves. Bonus points if they then get upset when men don't come to the conclusion they wanted them to. Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on the best Reddit stories.